everyone, and welcome to Under the Iron Flag. Uh, and we just want to talk about One Piece. Uh, this week we are going to be covering the filler arc to end all filler arcs, G-8. The one filler arc in history that feels like canon. It's at least to me. What do you guys think?
Don't forget the fairy tale filler arc that was retroactively canon.
What was that?
The first filler arc, where I honestly don't remember much of it. A group of people came, and they attacked the guild, and they were
It's right
evil.
after the 7 year time skip when
Remember the snake
they
guy?
bring back Arashi and Sess. They bring back Arashi and Sess, and they bring like a backstory with Lucy's father,
Oh yeah,
and
that's right.
there's
That's right.
her
That's right.
sister, and like it's a whole mess. It's a whole
Yeah.
thing.
The most
The
important part
opening is
was.
good.
Do you remember, the snake guy, the snake dragon slayer?
Yeah, he's what's his name?
Yes.
Yeah, he was introduced in that filler arc.
No, he wasn't.
So yeah, he was.
He was
Really?
introduced in Arashi and Sess
No,
in the Arashi and Sess,
he was
right? In
introduced.
Nirvana.
He was introduced in the filler arc.
The snake dude,
Yeah, the
the
snake
snake
dude.
dragon slayer, the poison dragon
Yeah, the
slayer.
poison dragon
I
slayer.
think
Mm-hmm.
Saflam is right.
Oh, he was introduced with the other members of Arashi and Sis in the Nirvana arc when the gang gets recruited to destroy a weapon that makes everybody good. If you're good, you turn evil, and if you're evil, you turn good.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Saflam is
Nirvana.
correct
I'm
on
gonna
that.
say you're wrong because I'm not wrong. Obviously, I have to be right.
I'm
So
But
and
like 100% sure that you're incorrect.
this
we'll never
episode, we're not
know.
covering Fairy Tale, thank God. Um,
Yes. Next podcast.
Oh my God,
but
yes, I
what
would
did you
totally do
guys
it.
think about G8? Personally, I really dig it. We'll start with you, Aggro.
It was a fun time. It was fun.
Any more extensive thoughts
I
than
mean, I
it
have
was
more
fun?
extensive thoughts, but my overall thoughts are it was fun. It was a fun,
Okay.
romp. It wasn't like amazing or anything, and it wasn't terrible either. It was fun. It wasn't, nothing happened.
Would you say
Like,
it felt like it fit the vibe of One Piece? Like, could you have seen
yes,
that in the manga?
no,
Really?
no. Well, I mean, yes, it felt like the vibe, but the one
To me,
thing
that
with
would
the
have fit
series
in
so
East Blue.
far is that every single arc has had large character progression for at least one of our main cast and world progression and like lore that we're learning about, and this didn't have any, which makes sense, but it still was a fun vibe, as you put it.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
disagree with you on that front. I think it does have it does I think that's what the good thing about this arc is it doesn't I think that's the problem with fillers because it can't progress the characters, right, or the world or anything like that. But I feel like this arc does progress characters, but just not our main characters. It's the characters we meet in this arc that learn from our main characters, right?
Mm.
If that makes sense. So like for example, the cooks at the Marine base, they learn how to cook from Sanji and they learn his philosophy of like not wasting food and all this. I feel like this arc kind of went over like not the morality, but the goals of everybody
Well,
except like
it kind
Zoro
of just
maybe because Zoro didn't meet anybody.
reinstated everything up to this
Yeah.
point.
Yeah,
It,
but what did you think of like the Navy in this arc?
See, that's the strong part. Do we want to go right into that?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. So hot take. I'm sure. Very hot take. What was the commander's name?
Jonathan.
Jonathan.
Jonathan's the best antagonist in the series so far. By far.
No, not a hot take
He's
actually.
really
By
good.
far.
He's my second favorite like Navy member we've been introduced to behind like Smoker so far. Um yeah.
He is both
He
incredibly competent and incredibly likable. And normally you
he's
have to pick one.
competent in a way where he's not super strong, he's not a
Mm-hmm.
devil
Yep.
fruit user. He's just intelligent
He's just some guy
and
doing his
and
job.
interesting and fun. You know, like you want to see scenes with him.
Mm-hmm.
He's cool. You know, he gets along with like his men. He's sort of like you get the feeling if he was a pirate, he would get along with Luffy.
Hmm.
you know?
Exactly.
Like even as a Navy member, he's not antagonistic.
Yep.
He reminds me of Roger, like his mustache.
A little
I
bit,
was
yeah.
watching it this time around, and I was he like reminds me of a Roger.
Color scheme's a bit off, but I could see it.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, I
There's
don't
a
know what to
couple.
say.
Is this the first couple we've seen in One Piece?
Mm,
I
does
can't
Usopp and
remember
what's her
one.
name not count? Kaya? Usopp and
No.
Kaya don't count?
I feel like we've
Man.
seen like separated people, like Usopp's dying mother and abandoned father. Um, but like not like a couple who's actively together that aren't dead.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Hmm.
These
Yeah.
are like two people who are just together. It's weird.
It's very strange, yeah.
Yeah.
I
I like it.
I
They're
like
good
this arc
together.
too. I thought this arc was canon for the longest time. Um, and I thought the arc after this arc was filler. So I thought it was
Same.
reversed
Hmm.
for the longest time. And then it wasn't. This is the filler arc. And it's so weird how good this arc is because it does build the world a little bit, kind of like an
Hmm.
in-between way because
I would
it
agree.
kind of builds the mystery with the Mary. It kind of like
It
sets
does.
up the crew caring about the Mary a little bit more, in my
And
opinion.
Usopp and
And
yeah.
Usopp, yeah. With
Hmm.
the old man that Usopp meets
Hmm.
and just like they kind of made that mystery more mysterious,
Hmm.
because the old man doesn't tell him who fixed the ship in Skypia. He just like he thinks about it and he kind of knows, and then we're like, wait, who is it? But he gets taken away, right?
Hmm.
And then they introduce a named character that was in the
Yes, an
manga at the
admiral.
time. Yes, an admiral's name, and so it makes a lot of sense. Like we don't know who he is yet. I
Which the
never
admiral's
haven't met him
name
yet.
is introduced in literally the chapter after. Like it's introduced in the first chapter of the next arc. Uh,
Really?
yeah, because I don't know if you remember, I accidentally read the next chapter thinking
Oh,
that it was like this or the last arc.
right, right, right.
You know how like usually the final chapter of an arc is like a bit of a peek ahead.
Yes.
Um, so I sort of thought that like um 190 or hold on. Sorry, let me get the that like 303 was the final chapter. But no, that's the next arc. And so the name that we learned of that admiral at the very end there, uh
Did we say his name or?
yeah, Agro, do you remember it?
No.
Agro?
No.
Okay.
No.
It's Admiral Aokiji.
Yeah, not gonna remember that.
You will.
Well,
Look
if you
forward
know
to
like
meeting him.
Aokiji, if you know Aokiji, then Jonathan's entire personality makes sense. Like the fact
Yeah.
that he's related to him, and so I feel like it builds the world a little bit in that way. You get a sense of who Aokiji might be through Jonathan's relation. But I guess if
Mhm.
you're a first time watcher, you don't really put that. But like rewatching this arc a million times, you put that together. I didn't know Aokiji was name dropped in this arc
Yeah. It's
until I
interesting.
rewatched it.
I feel like, you know, it's funny because you get that sense from Jonathan of like uh you can sort of get a sense from higher ranked Navy members of what, admiral or vice admiral that they might be sort of impacted the most by. Um, and like in the way that they carry themselves. And certainly, uh, he seems impacted by Aokiji or a different vice admiral that we will become familiar with later on.
Yeah. We're kind of introduced to that section of the Navy, the peace-loving section of the Navy, as they
Hmm.
like to call him. Uh,
Really,
Whoa,
just the
people who
decent
want to do
section.
their jobs and
yeah,
go home?
and that's kind of,
Wow.
and
Home is base.
Revolutionary.
honestly, throughout the series, you don't really get to delve into the Marines as much as we do here. So it's kind of like why I like this. Like this arc is canon to me because it does such a good job of setting up that section of the Navy, at least like the peace loving section of the Navy, and like just like their everyday, like the cooks and the medics and the shipwrights, and you don't really think about all those support people in the Navy. You just think, oh, admirals, vice admirals, people who fight pirates, people who fight like countries, like and regulate and police
Or people
state.
who actively don't.
Yeah. So it just like really showed you a different side of the world, and I really appreciated that. And it's something that we never get to see again. So this arc is kind of a gem, and that's why I wanted you guys to watch it with me.
I would certainly say I think it's the best filler arc in One Piece by far.
It is. I agree with you.
Out of
100%.
curiosity, is there an agreed upon worst filler arc?
No, they're all bad.
For the most part,
Because
yeah,
we
they're
should
pretty
watch the
bad.
worst one. Whatever's considered the worst one, we should also watch that when we get there.
We've probably already skipped a couple that like are like just skip arcs, you know.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like there's a lot of arcs that are related to like there are movies that come out with One Piece. And
Oh,
so there
yes.
are filler arcs that kind of set up those movies.
Ah.
So there's a
Oh
lot
yeah,
of
there was one
those.
just recently. That was really good though. I watched a
That one
recent
was
filler
really
arc and
good.
I was like, "Oh, this is filler, but I feel like certain past things in One Piece, even though this is filler, makes sense to me now." And this is
Right.
1,000 episodes in.
Yeah.
So, you know, even filler that comes out today, well, it's not like a proper. I guess it's kind of an arc. It's like 3 or 4 episodes, but it depends, you know. Like we don't really get these anime original filler arcs in the way that like G-8 is a filler arc, you
Well,
know.
I've noticed that happens a
But we'll
lot
get
less
like
in general
promo
nowadays.
filler arcs, you know. Yeah. Instead, they just slow down the pace of the anime to a snail's pace.
Yeah.
Fun!
Let's cover a
Yay!
chapter an episode.
Even less than a chapter sometimes. It's really bad.
It's
Even
rough.
in the recent arc, it's been really bad to be honest. Even if the animation is good, it's like if the pacing, I feel like because of One Piece, pacing has become something that I hyper focus on because even if the story is good and the animation is good and the voice acting is good, if your pacing is trash, then everything else falls apart. It is like the base of the tower, and if it's not there, nothing else works.
If One Piece had good pacing, it'd be one of the best anime of all time. Like
Yeah, it
if
would.
it was like spaced out properly and they animated things to the same quality
You
level
just have to wait for
of
One
like
Piece Brotherhood. They'll
jeez,
do the whole
I
that
thing.
would be
They'll do the
quite the
whole
project.
series again.
That would be a hell of a project.
yeah, but it would be less than 1,000 episodes, I think,
Oh,
if
for
Oh,
they
for
did
sure.
it
sure.
properly. Because we watched episodes 196 to 206, right? Or am I
Yep.
wrong?
No, you're right.
Yeah, so that's like 10 episodes. It was a filler arc, but it was
And
paced
one of
so well.
those
It
I
was like
skipped
10
14
episodes.
minutes of because it was
Yeah.
recap.
Wow. I was gonna bring that up at some point. I made a note.
I
I'm like,
didn't skip
oh,
that part actually.
I was like, I know all this. I
like
just read
I was
this. I'm
like,
good.
I am watching this less than 2 hours before recording the podcast. I gotta go. I actually finished exactly on the hour, the minute we're supposed to, we plan to record. 7 p.m.
I didn't
exactly.
I didn't skip that part because one, I had read the version, so it's like I didn't watch it, right? And
That's
two, it
fair.
was just like
Yeah, that's
it
fair.
like I said, it was setting up the crews like this is their home, this is their like they've been through thick and thin with with the Mary, you know, and I really like those scenes the way they recapped it. Like usually One Piece recaps are bad. Like
I
in
think
the
I've
next
gotten too used to those. The
in
red bean soup
oh
recaps have driven me
god.
a little insane,
Oh my
which
god.
I now just I see One Piece recap, I start skipping until it stops.
I just do that with everything.
Yeah, but this recap had like a purpose.
I
Its
don't
Like,
purpose
doubt
was
that. I
to
understood the
yeah,
remind
purpose as
the
I
I
audience.
skipped
get
it,
it.
but I was like, I understand this. I just I don't care.
Mhm.
Not right now.
Mm. What did you think of the aspect ratio? Was it like jarring? Because this was made like back in the day, so the aspect ratio
Oh,
is like
not at
Yeah,
what
I
all.
was
the
curious
Zack
about that.
Snyder
So,
movie.
yeah, so did you watch the like good version? Was it in like a 4:3 ratio? Because they did
Yes.
make like a HD version. So at least on Crunchyroll, right? You can pick between like One Piece HD and just One Piece. And if you pick the HD version, it's like a reanimated version that also has like different music and stuff. Um, so I don't know if they would have redone a filler arc,
What?
but I know, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I've
um,
never heard of this before.
yeah,
Yeah, you can look on. It's on Crunchyroll. It was there when I was looking. There's a regular
mhm,
and then HD version of every season.
I
yeah,
watched it
and
on Hulu, so
Mm.
it's
gotcha.
just the
Mm-hmm.
Funimation version, I guess. That's the one I
Yeah, they have
have.
the original. Yeah.
Okay, so I was curious because at least with like I don't like that they changed the music and like the animation on certain scenes personally. Because for like an Alabasta instance, right? Luffy and Vivi's fight scene, right? Pretty iconic. You know, the music in that scene, the pacing of it, the animation. It's really, really well done even if it's old. You know?
Mm-hmm.
You keep it as is, don't touch it. But instead, they reanimate everything. They change the music. And it's like, what happened? This sucks. Why did you do this? Uh,
Yeah, never heard of any of that.
yeah. Um,
I'm gonna go to it right now and see what it's talking about. Cause, so usually I know this is illegal to say. I'm sorry, FBI, but I pirate One Piece usually.
What
But
fair.
since it's been on Hulu and I have Hulu, I've been watching it
crimes?
on Hulu. I don't watch it on Netflix. Netflix One Piece is absolute trash, and I hate it because not only do they like enlarge so that it doesn't look like it's 4:3 ratio, so basically
Oh,
everything's zoomed in the earlier
They
parts
must
of the
only have
series.
the HD version then.
no, it's probably just zoomed in.
That'd
Because
It's
be
I
just
worse.
think
zoomed in
HD would
That'd be
look
really
in the
bad.
Netflix
different.
version.
I
So
love.
it's horrible. I hate that. And then the translation, like Netflix translation is notorious for being bad, not just with Japanese dubs, but with Spanish dubs, Spanish subs, like all translations on Netflix are bad. I cannot watch any anime on Netflix unless the anime was made for Netflix. I can't watch it. One
Hmm.
Piece, I have to watch it. I have to pirate it, or I watch it on Hulu. And the pirated version has the specific font in this era of the series. God, and I can't find that version anymore, which really sucks because that's how I grew up watching it. But I do prefer the 4:3 aspect ratio. I ended up watching the next episode, and the next episode actually starts with the next chapter that we're reading, which is a good thing. So we're not missing anything. We didn't like skip ahead or anything like that through the anime. And the aspect ratio changed. Like literally episode 206 is 4:3 aspect ratio. Episode 207 is the full TV screen that we have today. I don't know what the aspect ratio for that
16
is,
by
but like
9.
it's a movie. 16 by 9, there you go.
Hmm.
Which I thought was really interesting. I never
Mhm.
noticed that before today. I was like, I'm going to keep watching because I want to. Because I really
That
like the
would
scene in the beginning of 207.
that would make sense. We were looking at how they list them in seasons, and that going into that
Mm-hmm.
next episode will be the new season. And if I'm
Mm.
guessing by when stuff was airing, that's probably around when they would have started switching to 16 by 9 as it became more prevalent.
I'm pretty sure this era of the series was in 2007, 2008 when it was being released.
Yeah, it's a little late, but that makes sense to switch over on then. Like the one I go to, I believe one of the last live action series on TV that was using 16 by 9 was Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and that's due to
I mean, 4 by 3.
4x3. Thank you. Uh, but because they were when they were going from season 5 to, and then they changed network for 6 and 7, they just decided for these last two seasons, let's just keep the aspect ratios for the whole series the same. But on the other hand, the spin-off Angel decided to, in season 3, switch to 16 by 9, so it was interesting going back and forth. but season 2 was filmed for 4:3, but was aired in 16:9. So there were just like you could see a crew member over there, or in the opening scene where they're all in a gym and it's about Angel the vampire and there's mirrors all over the place. You can see Angel in multiple mirrors because they're supposed
That's
to be
pretty
off
funny.
screen. Let me tell
So
you. Oh, you go. You go.
real quick, I did a bit more research. It seems as if the special edition is just a 16:9 version of One Piece. I
So don't
think what I was
watch it.
thinking of with Alabasta was specifically the movie. I must have seen
Okay,
a
that makes sense.
movie
You can
version
watch
of
that. That's
it,
remade.
which sucked.
Oh, okay. I'm very excited to watch all the movies.
So that must be what I was getting angry at. But the special edition goes up to episode 206. Don't watch it.
Don't watch. Seriously, no. Go to
Nah.
Hulu and watch it on
Just
Hulu or
watch
pirate
old
it.
Just watch
stuff.
the old
It's
stuff. It's there.
okay.
It's on the same site.
Yeah.
The
Hey,
The
you'll
animation,
original.
live.
actually, like one of my favorite episodes of One Piece is in this filler arc in this aspect ratio. It's the episode where they all meet up next to the Mary and it's a trap. A lot of this filler arc is like, oh, it's a trap, but we have to go into it anyways because we can't do anything else, right?
Yeah.
That's like my favorite episode in the series. When Nami and the doctor lady and Chopper like hit Usopp, and Usopp says Pachinko, and he flies in the air, and then the I sent a picture on the Discord of like my favorite part is like when Nami enters the room and then Zoro
Just
is
Zoro's face. Yeah.
Zoro, and then Sanji's like, "Oh my God, Nami in a nurse outfit."
I will
And
say, like, personally, I don't know. I liked Sanji in this arc.
Oh
me
no,
Anime
too.
Sanji is
no!
better,
Get
man.
out! You're
His
banned
voice
from this
No.
actor.
podcast.
It's literally his voice actor.
It
Sanji's
is his
never
voice
been
actor, but
worse.
also, okay, one of my favorite parts of this whole, of all of G8 is the kitchen scenes with Luffy and Sanji. Like,
I mm,
filling in for the
I
other
agree. Yeah.
chefs is cool
Well,
because of Nami's meddling.
Yeah, that was
And
cool,
then
and then it was like immediately underhanded by everything else about his character.
What do you mean?
I don't know. What do you mean?
His like, oh girl, ooh yeah, I hate it. It's insufferable. It makes everything interesting he does awful because he then does something interesting and immediately follows it up with, oh hey, it's the same joke for the 10 billionth time.
I think
That's
I used
fair,
to
and
be
I
like
don't
that.
disagree. It's just I get less bothered by it in the anime. I think it's just his voice actor. I
I
genuinely
used to
just
be
get
like
less
you, Andre.
bothered watching the anime, barring like recent. If I'm keeping up with it week to week, I still get bothered by it because I'm like, I am over 1,000 episodes in. Why? Can you not?
I won't go. Yeah, I won't go too in because this has been something we brought up almost every single episode, and will continue to be brought up almost every single episode. I
Yeah, it
hate
doesn't
it.
change
I
ever.
know.
Can I give you
Ever.
guys like
I'm
my
guessing.
take on it?
Go for it.
Sure.
Honestly, I think it's endearing the way he kind of like simps for all the girls
No.
ever. It's just like you don't. I don't like. There are other like perverted characters in other anime and stuff like that, but he doesn't. How do I put it? For him, it's not out of malice, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Like, I'm not trying to defend him or anything like that. It's his dumb character quirk. It's like Zoro getting lost or like Nami
I
obsessed
don't.
with money. Like,
I don't think it's a
it's his
bad
virtue.
thing. I think it's just badly written.
Okay.
You could
And
do
that's
it
fair.
well. I don't think I've never seen it done well, but theoretically, it could be done well. I just don't think it has been in this instance, or have I ever seen it done well.
I think for me, it's like when it,
If it was one
when
character, if
the
it was just
enemy.
Nami, it'd be one thing.
No, but like let's say like, but then you put him in a situation where like, I don't know if he's been put in a situation where the enemy was female yet. I feel like that hasn't happened yet, has it, Lucian?
I do not believe so. No.
Okay, then I can't talk about it. But like this character quirk becomes more interesting the more you go into the series. which is a weird thing to say. But like Oda has this way of taking these characters. Like Konami is like, "Oh, we can escape now," and then she realizes that the gold is not with them, and so they literally go back into the naval base to get the gold because of this virtue that she has of being obsessed with money. Right? She did it for good reasons, and they're pirates and yada yada, all that stuff, right? But still, she risked the lives of everybody so that she could get money. Literally. That is a bad character trait, but it's an interesting situation to put your characters in, right?
Y-
Like
To
so
me, that
interesting
was
that when
also
the
funny because, like, Jonathan took the gold off under the assumption they're pirates. They'll come back for the gold.
mhm.
But Nami was the one who convinced everyone on board to go back. They were
Yeah, none of
fully
them
on board
care.
to just leave it and go.
Yeah,
But then
honestly,
she
yeah.
was like, Luffy, you know, it would look really, really bad if pirates left all the gold. And he's like, oh, you're right. We gotta go back.
honestly, I
All
think it
right,
would have
guys,
been
turn
just as
around.
in character for any of them, especially even Nami. If they had just left the gold, I wouldn't have like thought about it. You know, I wouldn't have thought, oh, that's out of character. It was just,
For me, it's funny because the whole time they were stealing the boat, I was like, they're forgetting the gold. Like, what are they doing? They don't have anything on board.
I
Why
love
are
the
they
scene when
not
she
considering
realizes it.
this?
She's like,
And
"Yeah,
then
we don't have
finally,
cannon."
oh, we didn't have cannonballs. Wait a second.
It's so funny. But back to like Sanji, like later on in the series, you see him, and this flaw of his gets put in a very interesting like dilemma. Like they do that again in this arc too with Zoro getting lost. So remember when they escaped from the prison, and there's only one way to escape from the prison, right? But Zoro gets so lost that they don't go through that way, and then they don't get caught by the Marines. Like it's
Which
the way that you
Zoro's
use the
Chad
characters
energy
work.
early on of just strolling around, lucking
mhm.
out, and somehow lasting like literally 12 hours,
Hmm.
walking around, not stealthing, just being Zoro on a Navy base, not being noticed or caught,
That was so
is
funny.
so great. Everyone else was like, okay, we're on a Navy base. We gotta, even Luffy knew
Well,
better.
because Sanji was with him, that's why.
No, even before that, he was like sneaking behind the
Oh
Navy
yeah,
member.
that guy. That's
That
so
was a pretty funny moment too. I thought it was very funny, just the like Navy member walking alone, step, 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 stop, step, step. Huh?
Yeah, that was
funny.
good.
Every time he turns around, Luffy even like looking at the camera.
Oh my god,
You
I think
know,
that's a GIF. I think that's a GIF somewhere.
is it really? That makes.
Yeah.
I imagine there's a lot of One Piece ones. I feel like there were a good amount of like meta jokes in this too.
Yeah,
I'm not
Jonathan
sure,
looks
but
to the camera at the end of the first episode. He's
he
like, "They're not gonna escape me," and he looks to the camera, and I was like, "Oh, that's so cool."
I'm pretty
There's a
sure he
lot
made a
of
meta joke about Unit 55 buying them 22 minutes to set up, since that's the typical like episode
Oh,
length. It seems so specific, it just had to be a reference, you know?
yeah.
probably.
It's like, yeah, that did last an
Hmm.
episode. They did buy 22 minutes of time.
I love the I love when they're fighting everybody on the I love when Jonathan calls. I love how the naval base has so much character within it. So there's Jonathan, like he's the leader, and then there are the two people under him, like the guy with the cap and then the guy
Yeah, the
that's with
general
the
and the
coat.
lieutenant.
General lieutenant, and then there's like the cooks. We go to the cook area, and then we go
Cooks are
to the
great.
doctor area, and then we go to the shipwright area, and we get a feel for like every part of the naval base. Like remember when uh the Inspector Shepard, Condoriano, the best One Piece
Andriano.
character ever. Condoriano, when he enters the base and he's like, where's the commander? Why hasn't he greeted me?" And then the guy's like, "You don't
It's
know? Like
lunchtime,
it's
bro.
lunchtime." And I love when they do the serious like, "Oh, what are the rules of the Navarone base?" They like change the camera angle and all that stuff. This arc is just gold. It's just a gold mine. And then he like so and then we get a different part of the section of the military which is just a bunch of these ruly guys that haven't had any like they haven't had any real missions to go on, and they're super buff and they're super ready to do whatever they need to. And Jonathan's calling them, and they're super, what's the word that I'm looking for? Like extra, and he can feel it from the snail's fonder, and he's like, "Yeah, you guys do your job, bye."
Yeah.
And then they go and they attack Luffy and the others, and then oh, the funniest part is when Luffy breaks the bridge. Sanji's like, "Oh crap!" Like he knows what's gonna happen, and Luffy goes down, and he's like, "Wait, what happened?" And then Sanji and Zoro go down like bosses, like they don't change their posture at all. And then Usopp is like diving into the water. It's just everything in this arc has so much detail in it and character in it, and like I could talk about it for hours, but we
It
only
doesn't
have
feel like filler in the way it
yeah.
is handled. Like a lot of filler content, a lot of non-filler content in current One Piece, it feels so dragged out and unnecessary and like what is the purpose? What are like the pacing is trash. Like what are we doing here? What is the point of this? But like episode to episode, sure you could say like, this didn't have a purpose or whatever, but it was fun. And that's at the core of One Piece. It's an adventure, So like at least for One Piece specifically, it works. It might not in a lot of other shows, but in the context of it being One Piece, I think they fit it in, like they slot it in pretty well as to like, well, they just fell from Skypia. Let's have them fall in a naval base. Uh,
The setting is really interesting too. Like we never get a setting like this in the entire series, I feel like.
mhm.
So like,
We
them
hear about naval bases. We get like
yeah.
numbered stuff. We just never see it.
And just like not even just that it's a naval base, but that it's an kind of like a lake kind of, and the mountains surround the entire island, so you can't even, so it's hard to escape. It's kind of like Prison Break or like an Ocean's 11 movie. You feel like everybody has to sneak around, but like every character does it their own way. Like you're saying, Zoro was just strolling around, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like how
And then
like Nami. I feel like this is a good example of using the filler arc of Nami using the fact that no one knows who she is to her advantage.
Mhm.
And same for some the others. And I feel like eventually you're not gonna be able to do that anymore.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
mhm.
How does Robin do that? Why
Extremely
does the
coolly.
Navy not know Robin?
Well, that's the thing.
Maybe it's
They
because
don't
she
know
hasn't
her.
been,
They just
because she
know
was a
of
child
yeah. They just know of
when
the
the
lady, the
Oh,
girl.
is
They
her
don't know what she looks
poster
like.
really outdated?
Well, yeah, we don't know what her poster looks like. I think she's just a kid in the
wait.
poster.
Oh.
Yeah.
She doesn't have
I
a
guess
new
her
one.
poster's probably
Hmm.
super outdated, huh?
Yeah, they
And
don't know
also,
what she
she's a
looks
very
like.
beautiful lady, so Jonathan's weak to
And
that.
the coolest.
Poor Jonathan.
And just super
What did
I
you
do
cool.
what did
like
you think of what did you think of Usopp and Robin like being paired together? I know that I thought that was
For
the
the
most
most
interesting
part,
pairing to
I
me.
thought it was a little I mean, they were okay at first. For honestly, for a while, they felt like they were just sitting there doing nothing. They were paired so they could do nothing for a couple episodes, but then they did stuff, and I liked Robin just going, "No, it's my plan." Basically, I'm the
your
what is it,
plan
inspector.
sucks.
It's my
I
plan.
love when
Anyway,
he's like,
I'm
"Oh,
now part of the Beatles. I am Sergeant Pepper's Lonely Hearts
Look at
Band.
my cool coat
Uh,
and
look at
sunglasses.
my outfit.
Please wear
I
that
am joining
forever.
the Beatles. How does she get the dopest outfit every arc?
that's true."
Yeah.
Why?
Um,
Has she
I
not
really
had the coolest outfit in literally every arc so
It's
far?
true. And the thing is, like she changes every arc, so you think it might be
I mean, so
be
does
bad
Nami,
for
but
once.
I
Yeah,
mean,
Nami
not
gets
on
a
the
shirt that
same
says
level.
evil.
and it's interesting how they paired up the characters in this arc, considering like the next saga that's coming up. I don't know, Lucian, if you thought about that at all. Like,
Yeah.
uh,
Maybe we can go back
mm,
to this subject. We can
yeah.
talk
So
about.
that's why I like this arc a lot because it kind of looks to the future and it sets like the little breadcrumbs for that. Like Usopp's really obsessed with the Mary and Robin's really obsessed with getting information, and Robin is the cooler headed of the two. And then when
Of
Usopp gets
everyone.
caught, yeah, that's true of everyone. But when Usopp gets caught, he's like, "Oh, you remember me?" And she's like, I've never seen this guy in my whole life.
Yeah,
And
it's like, of course
then-
I don't recognize this clearly suspicious individual.
but then he helps her out when he's in the jail with the Condoriano guy,
Yeah.
and
Once
like,
Zoro was like,
Mm.
You realize she helped you out, you idiot, right?"
And
yeah, it's
we
just.
never get that confirmed, so I'm not gonna believe it.
I think she just didn't want to deal with him because he's very like high maintenance. Like, because she's the coolest out of the group, I feel like you could argue Usopp was the least cool because he was worried about the Mary, right?
In my
It's
mind,
just
it was just a matter of like, by helping him, it's very clear that you were like,
yes.
supporting another. You're trying to back up another person's like story when he's clearly suspicious,
Yeah, her plan
and
I
he
is
was
love when
just
yeah.
he
claiming to have your position.
Her
I love
plan
when
is
he
in
reveals that he's the
character. Sorry, you.
commander. Sorry, is I love the part where he's like acts like he's the commander and he starts laughing. He's like,
Hmm.
hoo, 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 of course I was
What
the
a genius
commander.
plan.
And then Robin walks
Hmm. Well, yeah, I like Robin's plan is in character with how she's been so far. Of her plan is just hide out until the others do something and figure out how to get out of here. She doesn't
Yeah,
have to
and
bother
also
trying
they
to
wouldn't
rescue
have
them. They're fine.
found, like, they wouldn't have gotten back their stuff without her, I mean, look,
Mhm.
they didn't get it from the vault, but you know,
Mhm.
uh they don't have the intelligence without Robin to do that. You know what I mean? Like, maybe eventually through destroying like the whole naval base they'd figure something out.
Mhm.
But I
Very true.
don't think they get out of there as easily without Robin. She is literally the adult amongst a bunch of children.
Uh, what did you think about that scene where they take the hostages and the old man and the doctor and the
That was
old
a lot
man
of fun.
basically? That scene was so much fun. I think that's like my favorite scene. My favorite like funny scene in the whole series, I think, is that scene when they're trying to get on the Mary and Chopper's acting like he's like a gang member.
Mhm.
And Zoro and Sanji are doing like a duo act. It's so funny.
Yeah.
Oh my god. And then
Hopper acts like a pirate.
for the first time. And then Luffy in the corner, Chopper, I thought you
How
were better than
could
this.
you? I misjudged you.
Oh god, it was
Mm.
gold. It's
It's very
comedic
fun.
gold. Before that, when they were fighting the Marines, they released the smoke bombs, and then Luffy, his eyes are like colored red. He's crying. He doesn't know how to deal with the situation. And then Zoro's like all cool. He doesn't need goggles, but Sanji needs goggles, and then they fight about that later. I can just describe the scene. It's just so funny. Um, there is one plot hole, I think, in this entire 10
Hmm.
episode
It's the
runtime.
octopus, right?
No, not the octopus. You can tell me about that
Yeah,
later.
that was
But
weird.
Jonathan, in the first episode, we go to the base and the base is quiet, and then the Mary lands on the base, right? And then Jonathan fishes out Usopp's goggles.
Oh, and then he has them back.
But then Usopp gets them back somehow. Like we never get that explanation. Like I don't know how Usopp got them back. I can't
That's
think of
fair.
anything. So that's like the one plot hole I can
Mhm.
think of.
Yeah.
But what was the
Uh,
thing about the
he might have. I feel like there might have been a scene where he got them back, but I don't remember exactly. I think maybe Nami picked them up
Nami? But then
on
they
the
only met
waiver.
up. He had them before Nami came. Like they've been Nami and Usopp have been separated until the
Yeah.
funny happens where they're
Maybe
next to the
Robin
Mary.
grabbed them? I don't know. I feel like someone else grabbed them up because they were just sort of on the shore. Like he didn't keep the goggles.
Oh,
He
you think
just sort of
Robin grabbed them?
kept them. And so since he and Robin met up, maybe she found the goggles on the shore there and grabbed them with her hands. It was something. I
Maybe.
feel like there may have been a scene where I could be wrong. It might just be a plot hole. But I feel like there may have been a scene where they were grabbed. I could just be wrong though.
Yeah, okay.
Um,
What's the thing about the What did you think about the octopus What did you think about like the finale of this arc, I
That
Negro?
was
Like
very
where
fun.
how they
I
escape?
liked it. Really,
Yeah.
really liked it. Like it was a little convenient, but it was still fun, so I don't care.
yeah.
They gotta fly, which they won't get to do thing on the series when they go to space, to the moon.
I
Something
love
they
how
do.
teams have something that the other doesn't know about. So like Jonathan is noticing that the crew has like technology from Skypia and they can't really combat that because they don't know
I did like the use
how
of
to
the scooter,
can
by the way.
yeah,
Him
and the
using
scooter
that
and the
again, great.
dials.
Hmm.
Do you think
He also
Fart
just
can explode?
expects the unexpected. He's just like, they're gonna do something I don't expect.
Hmm.
They're pirates,
Yeah.
and they're gonna do something I don't expect. We have land and sea covered, but they did come from the sky.
Uh, it, it was the fun version of like one of my favorite parts of no spoilers, but one of my favorite parts of the first half of Attack on Titan is that every single fight is won or lost by knowing or not knowing what the other person's gonna do. Like they don't know about this new thing, they lost because of that, and so on and so forth. And it's the fun version of that here. They just have a bunch of
Yeah.
technology the other person doesn't know what to do. They're also extremely unpredictable and insane.
Do
Yeah.
you know in the prison when they go to get them out of the prison, Sanji hits the dial, the first dial, and it's just the well-tempered snake line from the previous
Yeah,
arc. Hey, this
and
well-tempered
then the
snake,
fart.
and then does the fart explode? Like, is that another plot hole? I
Oh,
feel
I
like.
forgot about that.
No, I don't think that's a plot
No,
hole.
no, it's not a plot
Because
hole.
it makes
It's just,
sense of Luffy
ugh.
doing that for
Like,
one.
what is Luffy eating that
Well,
makes
it's
it?
just I think technically, farts have like
It's funny,
methane,
haha. Get it?
and so they would be explosive is the joke.
Funny.
So technically it would, I guess, work.
I don't know. Even though it's a fart joke, it's really funny because then Usopp's like, "Who put that?" And then Luffy's like, "I'm sorry."
But uh
So let me tell you about my viewing experience with this. So
mm,
there's two
Did you
big
do the dub?
parts.
You
Okay,
did
so that's the
dub. I mean,
second part. We're gonna start with the less positive part first.
hey,
I watched on Funimation on the
I did too.
PlayStation 5 app, to be specific.
we have a
Oh.
app? Oh.
Yeah, they've had one since
Yeah,
launch.
PlayStation. You can watch YouTube,
Yeah,
Netflix.
Well,
yeah,
yeah, I
Yeah.
didn't know they had a Funimation app.
yeah. Since PS5 came out, I believe, or right around
Oh.
then. And let me tell you, it's terrible, awful,
Yeah. They've always
horrendous.
had garbage apps.
So the way I watched it was every 4 to 7 minutes, it would
Oh.
buffer infinitely.
Uh-huh.
It wouldn't
Yep.
stop. The only way to make it work again, press circle, close out the video, press X, open it up again. And then it worked fine for 5 to 7 minutes. And that's how I watched all episodes. Was it would start to buffer, I close it, open it again. The entire
You
thing.
could have connected your computer to your TV.
I could have, but I wanted to experience it for the content. I'm lying, I'm lazy. Uh, but the other, okay, so don't watch on Funimation. Terrible app, abandoned app. Eventually will be shut down one day. Um, the positive thing, I watched the dub, which is an unpopular opinion in these parts of town. I liked
These
it.
parts of town.
I
I
liked
made
it.
this podcast. You should watch it in the sub. You evil, disgusting human being.
Ungrateful.
Sad.
See, okay, I'll tell you two reasons why I hate the dub. One,
We'll
it
tell you why you're
sucks.
wrong.
It's really bad
Wrong.
compared to the sub. If you compare it to the sub, it sucks. Like the sub actors are way
Well,
better.
I'll never
They're
know.
100% better. You will know, okay?
Mm,
If we will continue this partnership, you
I'm
have to
sure one
watch
of the movies isn't
One Piece
dubbed.
in the sub. Oh my god. The second reason why I don't like the sub is I met the voice actress that plays Luffy at a Comic-Con once. And
Voice actress?
she didn't have a line.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you've
she's a
told this story
woman.
before.
Colleen Kennedy or something. She plays
Calling
Erza in the
Clinkin
dub,
Beard.
in the fairy tale dub.
Is it?
Calling Clinkin Beard.
Isn't
She's
Luffy done by John Young Bosch?
what?
No.
No.
Oh, okay.
What?
I maybe I'm thinking of
Now I want
Ichigo.
to see Johnny Young Bosch Luffy.
um, I met her
Yeah,
and I
you've told us this story before on the podcast.
tried to
She
have a conversation.
yeah.
And she was
Mm.
like, "You're not giving me money, so you need to leave
I
right now."
mean,
And
like I get it, but it's still
yeah, I get it.
rude. But
I get
like
it. No, I get it.
she's
She's
working,
doing
but
her
at the
job.
same time, I get it.
Also, I'm never watching the dub ever again because of this.
Okay,
So
so let me give my opinions on the
you
characters,
didn't
each
watch
of
the
them.
sub at all?
No, why would I do that ever? Uh, okay,
I'm like
let's go
so.
one by one just for the main cast. Um, uh, Luffy. Eh, eh.
Yeah, she's not good in the
Overall, I mean,
role.
she's fine. I think they knew what they were going for. I just think Luffy's voice is going to be annoying no matter what. I'll have to listen to the sub for that actually, because I feel like it'll
The
be
sub
annoying no
is
matter what.
better.
Um, Chopper,
Lucian, you have to
fun.
say the sub is better.
He just has.
Yeah,
Don't
I mean,
worry.
I can't say that because I haven't heard dub, but I have already expressed my
Yes, I
disgust at him watching
very
the
sadly, he
dub.
asked me about it, something last night,
Not
and I
like
had to tell him.
directly.
Yeah, no, it was. I forget exactly what it was, but it was somehow to answer the
Oh,
question. I
we were
had to bring
talking
up.
about. I was asking him whether he had watched the special edition HD
Oh yeah, yeah, and I just said I
or
don't know. I watched the
normal.
dub,
Yeah, and he's like, I watched it on Funimation. I
and
was
you
like,
should
why?
hear his like
I was
disappointment
like,
in his voice. Yes, I wanted to say that for stream. Sadly, I could not. But Chopper, pretty good. Pretty good voice. I like the high pitchedness. I like it. I forget who the actress is. Um, Sanji and Usopp, both pretty good. They do their jobs well. Didn't really have much stuff to work with. Zoro, really good. I like Chris Sabat. Chris Sabat's a really good voice actor, and he's really good as Zoro. And then Robin, also really good. And then Nami, exactly what I pictured. Like, all of them were pretty close, honestly. I was surprised at how close they all were to, like, the voice I had in my head. Nami, exactly, to a T, the exact voice I pictured. Which is very, very rare. Also, Jonathan's voice actor, very good.
Oh, I'd never watched this arc dub, so I don't know Jonathan's voice actor.
I forget who it is, but he was very good. He's played a lot of
I
old
will
guy
say,
anime characters.
I saw the dub cast like for One Piece Film Red, and obviously I intend to watch that subbed, but I also intend to like buy the movie because Otto, who's the singer for all the songs, blah blah blah. And I saw Uto will be voiced by Amelie, and I was like, oh, okay, well I guess I'll watch it dubbed once.
I think that is the coolest thing that's ever gonna happen. That
Yeah,
Amelie is gonna
that's
Uta.
super cool. Like
That's the most
for
amazing
anyone
thing.
to be voicing Uta, Uta, by the way, has been, they basically made like a VTuber model for Uta since in world she's an idol,
I have no idea who
like
this is, by the way.
she's a character in the One Piece film Red.
Okay.
In the new movie.
Oh,
The
the
newest
original
movie.
character that is in posters, I see.
Yes.
Gotcha.
And she's basically like an in-world idol and stuff, Amelie, you might know from her like English anime covers.
Yes, I know her
Um,
from hit game of the year, AI the Somnium Files Nirvana Initiative, which she plays a character and sings the theme song.
oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
I know her from. I watch a lot of her YouTube stuff.
Yeah,
I love
I've
her
seen her tons of her
rendition of
YouTube stuff in the past.
Evangelion. Her rendition of Evangelion is the one I listen to.
I
I
want
don't
you to
listen
know I
to
just died inside, but it's okay.
Hey, you listen to the dub, you get karma back.
That's fair. That's fair. I watch dub. You say Evangelion, whatever.
Oh, you're not even mad about the song. You're mad how I said.
No, her
I'm
song
not
is
mad
really
at
good. That's what I said. It's not a big deal, but I did die inside. She's a very good cover, very good song. She's an incredible singer.
But it's not Jellion, it's Gellion.
Evangelion. Yeah.
Okay, so it's Evangelion then for forever.
Yeah, that's
You
what I
have
call
to
it for
watch
a
the
while.
dub.
That's
You
what
say
Aggro
live with
does
it.
for
I
every Japanese
will
title
That's
ever.
true. I do.
say the correct
I do.
way, but I will not say it the correct way until you watch One Piece subbed.
I'll live with it. Until our Evangelion
Evangelion.
podcast. We call it Evangelion. That's the name of the podcast. Yep.
I don't think I could physically do that.
Welcome to the Evangelion Club.
I think my favorite voice actor from the cast is Sanji's voice actor from the Japanese dub.
I've
He's
heard in
just
tons of stuff.
so
He's very, very good.
he's so hilarious. He like nails the comedic moments so well, and he doesn't make it weird. I think that's why I like him, and he's just a good voice actor overall. He just because Zoro doesn't have like that comedic thing going on. Like he does sometimes,
Yeah,
but he
no,
can't flip the way Sanji does. Sanji like snap of fingers. The moment he sees what he likes, he flips the script. It's like when he was rowing the boat with Nami. He's like, "It's a romantic night. The stars are out."
That was really funny. Like the him just dropping his constant like in a romantic setting, like his kso. Like, it's a
Yeah.
damn, he can't stop like, his like, sailor language, he's like, oh, it's a damn nice night, you know.
mm-hmm.
Like and her eventually breaking and like telling
Oh,
him off with his
oh,
language was the
yeah.
funniest scene.
Iron, you don't know because you haven't listened to the subbed and you read the translated version. So in the Japanese subbed, I mean in the Japanese dubbed, you can tell uh Nami calls Sanji-kun. She doesn't just call him Sanji. And Sanji calls Nami-san, and then he calls
Well,
Robin-chan. And he does that
Nami
because
Swan and
yes,
Robin
it's
Swan.
yes, there's a
Mm-hmm.
W in there.
Yes.
Um But I think I read in an SBS or something that he calls Nami-san because she wants to act like she's older, and so if you use that honorific, it'll make it seem like you're an older person. And then Robin wants to feel like she's younger, so he uses the Chan, which is like
That's very
more for
funny. I
younger
didn't think
people.
about that.
So that's just another character quirk that I like about him. He gives every like Jessica, I think he calls her Jessica-san, like the cook lady.
Yeah, for like respect.
Because he respects her because she's the head cook and all that stuff.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah, he just like and that's just like another interesting character I wanted you to know because I don't know if it's in the translated version of the
No,
manga,
no,
and
Oh
I
they
no,
definitely know it's not in the
it's
dubbed
something
they
that's
version.
pretty much
eventually
impossible
add
to.
it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
No, like eventually they do
oh, okay,
add
they
the
do add it
honorifics
to
to the Viz
English.
translation, just
I guess I've
not
seen it before. It's just
anytime soon.
it's something that anytime it's there, it makes sense. Anytime it's not there, I understand. Like
I
sometimes,
think
like it doesn't work. No matter how you do it in English, while you may understand how it works, as you need to have the immediate thing of normal human beings would not talk that way.
yeah, and I think the SBS stated that Nami calls him Sanji-kun because he calls her Nami-san. So she
Mm-hmm.
adds in honorific for him because he does it to her. But she doesn't do that with anybody else, and he doesn't do it with anybody else except the
Yeah, I mean they're
girls.
a pirate crew.
Yeah.
They don't really
Yeah.
use like honorifics. There's really
Uh,
no purpose
the most interesting thing I've like
otherwise.
you or the most interesting use of translation or honor fix in translations is in Persona 3 and 4 they use honor fix in the English like translation in dubs and stuff, and in Persona 5 that they did not use them, at least not often, very very rarely. And I think it's just because those characters also use honor fix for each other less in general, but that's besides the point. But when they have the crossover game later on, uh, the 3 and 4 cast will use honor fix, but the 5 cast will not.
Interesting.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, I
Um,
enjoy it.
Back to G8.
G8.
Another thing that I noticed about this
What
arc
does
is
G8
so
mean?
Jonathan,
It's the
it's
name
just
of
the
the
name of the
base.
base.
But what does it
So
So
mean?
like
it's
it's called
usually G
Navarone, but
something.
like in the Navy they would refer to like as like to refer to the base.
Mm-hmm.
uh they would just say like G8. So on base they'd call it Navarone. That's like the, you know, name, but
Mm-hmm.
much like, a military would call a base by like a designation, the
Mm-hmm.
base's designation is G8.
Later in
Okay.
the series, we'll learn more base names and stuff like that. But right
Mhm.
now,
It's a
it's
lot
just
of
G8.
like G dash number.
Mm-hmm.
Mm,
I don't
So
know what the G stands for
me
personally.
either. So Jonathan he
Oh.
plays a game of chess throughout the entire arc. and the he represents the pirate crew in different chess pieces.
Mhm.
So when he catches Zoro, he takes the rook. So the Luffy and crew are in white, which is
Mhm.
interesting because when you play chess, it's the white piece that moves first. So
Yeah.
they made
Well,
the
he is
first move by falling
responding
into
to
the base.
their
Yeah, so he plays the black
moves.
pieces. So Zoro is the rook, and the rook it only goes straight on the board. It can't go diagonal like the bishop. And Zoro's kind of like very straightforward, doesn't really care what's happening. Right, he gets caught
Mm.
first. Usopp. It's interesting to see that Usopp and Robin were pawns. I didn't know why he did that, but I guess there wasn't any more pieces to use to represent. Because Robin doesn't feel like a pawn; she feels like a bishop or like a knight. I would say, but I guess there
Well, she
wasn't
makes it all
any.
the way. She can get promoted into a queen.
Yeah, but Usopp being a pawn kind of makes sense. He got caught really early on too.
Well,
Um,
he also, if
Luffy,
anyone on the crew, would make the most sense to be the
yeah,
pawn. At least right now.
yeah. Luffy is the king because, of course, he's the leader of the group. Sanji is the bishop. He kind of moves diagonally, which is kind of interesting because he uses his legs, and his legs move diagonally when he's attacking, right? I just thought that was the connection there. Nami is the queen, and it's funny when Nami realizes that the gold is gone, the queen piece, the queen chess piece falls, and he's like, got him, like checkmate. He
Hmm.
got the queen, which is Nami, because she's the one that convinces him to come back. And then Chopper is the knight. Uh,
That makes sense
I
because
don't
it's a horse,
right, and so
so
he's the
it's the
animal.
animal.
Yeah, okay. I was gonna say I didn't know what the connection was there, and then you said
Yeah,
it.
he's
So I
the
thought that
pet.
was yes. So I thought that was a really interesting way to represent everybody on the chessboard. And then Jonathan at the end of the last episode, he picks up the king piece and he's like, they came here flew flying, so I don't know what they're gonna do next. But he
Mhm.
uses it. He represents that through picking up the king piece, which kind of represents everybody in that moment. And then I think when they escape, all the chess pieces fall over.
Mm.
Uh,
Yeah, he does
and
drop
he's
the
like,
king
yeah,
piece
whatever.
like into his meal.
Oh yeah, yeah. There you go. When they fly up, because his and that's interesting because he doesn't like eating vegetables, and every meal that he's had has vegetables in it, and so it's kind of like his loss represented through like the thing he doesn't like to do, the thing he's been avoiding this whole time, right?
Hmm.
That's interesting. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
A lot of symbolism in this filler arc that's not like it doesn't go unnoticed, but it's a very small detail that I really liked.
Hmm.
Uh,
Who was your guys' favorite Navy character aside from Jonathan? Because if we include him, he's probably
I
gonna be
guess
the
I
like
guess the
unanimous
chef
pick.
lady.
I like the
His
old
wife,
man.
yeah. Um,
I like the old man that talked to
Macau,
Usopp and yeah, Macau.
yeah.
But
I
I
think
like the the cooks in the chef. So like like three recurring characters. There's the guy with the blue hair, and then the larger guy, and then the guy with the curly hair. We don't
hmm
get their names, but they're always shown like they worked with Sanji for a
yeah,
bit, right?
the
They
three of
kind of
them.
like
And what's the
a
other?
camaraderie with
Is her
him.
name Jessica? Jonathan's
Yeah.
wife and
Jessica,
the
yeah, her
female
name's
chef?
Jessica,
Yeah, okay.
and
Yeah, I
she
think
punched
she's probably my
Doriana.
favorite other character on board there. I do like Macau as well though. Um,
Yeah.
And that one guy,
but
the one guy who was always chasing the people on or leading the people on the field who kept apologizing for
Oh
failing.
yeah.
And
oh,
Jonathan
He was
was just
good
Drake.
like, "Hey,
too.
dude, it's fine. You're doing good.
Yeah.
Good job. If there was anyone else, you'd have caught him."
Yeah, Lieutenant Commander
Yeah,
Drake.
Hmm.
Jonathan would have caught them
Here, have
if
these
they didn't have
vegetables.
the taco because
The
they said taco
taco.
a lot in that scene. They said
Yeah.
so
Well,
taco
Taco is
Mhm.
is
octopus.
Japanese for is
Yeah.
octopus in Japanese, so they're like when they're in the circle they say taco taco taco. So kind of like talk they had tacos. Yeah. Oh man, when they made Usopp when they told Usopp he had to use the impact dial, so funny that
I
scene.
was like, why isn't the rubber guy using the
I don't
impact
know.
dial?
He doesn't want to get hurt.
Surely he'd absorb the shock.
I think Luffy was trolling him.
Probably.
And then
Um,
he got up and he did it again for the Mary. That was so cute.
yeah,
Everybody's like, fly! Oh my
that was a
god.
great scene.
Oh god.
Uh,
Did you guys think that that's how they would get out? Like Iron? Did you have like a
I mean, I figured there'd be something left. It was the last episode. There'd have to be some secret, and that I didn't expect it, but that made sense.
You know what's really funny is that when they're in the kitchen, Luffy asks how to cook octopus to Sanji, and Sanji's like, "Why are you
Ah,
asking that?"
yeah.
He's like, "Oh, for no reason."
Oh, I didn't think about that.
Yeah,
Wow,
so
yeah, good catch.
and that's when he's also absorbing the oven for the flame dial later. So like everything's
Oh.
just like being set up, which is just so cool. Like only those like that one plot hole with the goggles, but that could be explained by Robin finding it later.
No, I mean like I'm pretty sure that may have been on screen.
Yeah, I agree with you.
But
Because she also, when they say it's a ghost ship, she scares them, remember?
yeah.
Remember when all the crew they were interviewing the witnesses and they're like hands, there are hands everywhere.
Yeah, I
Like
liked
the
Robin
horror.
leading into it to try to distract him for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good.
And then Macau was like, it was a soft lady's hands. I know those hands anywhere. That was funny.
I'll say
What
so.
was
I really liked the cooking scenes, and the medical scenes were like okay.
yeah.
Like I like Chopper's
There
part
we
with
go.
everything. That was really good. But conceptually, I just don't get Kobato. Like as a doctor, why are you a doctor if you
Pediatrician.
can't stand blood? Pediatricians see blood too.
What do you
Kids
mean? No,
bleed.
they don't. You can't prove
So
that. Can you
why
prove that?
is there a
Huh.
pediatrician on a naval base with 0 kids
I
shown?
don't know what you
Well,
mean.
there's no.
I'm
I
There
think
are
the
so
aware.
point
many
is.
I'm
I
children.
think the
aware
point
So
is
many
there's
Navy
children
no.
naval
officers can
officers.
have
Guys,
children,
No, it's not
but
the
there
same. The
were
exact
none
same
on
exact
the
thing came
goddamn
across my mind.
ship.
listen. I think this is my explanation for things. She wants to be with her dad. Her dad is sick, but she's not good with blood. So what does she do? She tells them that she's a pediatrician, and then that way she doesn't have to cure anybody because nobody's a kid on a naval base.
You can't just claim to
Boom,
be a doctor.
boom roasted. But then everybody else went on a thing, so she had to take command. So she wasn't. So her goal was to just be there for her father
Right,
because he's
but you
sick.
can't just say you're a doctor. And if he's already part of the naval base, why isn't she just allowed to be there as his daughter? He's an officer.
They were
Like he
budgeting.
works there.
They
Yeah,
were
but
they were downsizing, so
then why do they
they
need
would
a
be feeding her.
pediatrician?
Maybe
Cut the
they're just like
pediatrician. There's no kids. Why are you paying a pediatrician to stay there if there's no goddamn
you got
kids?
me, Lucian. You got me.
Just in case.
I
Just in case.
Yeah, oh, just in case anyone gives birth on base, I guess we'll have a
can't.
pediatrician instead of like an OBGYN. But
You got me. I
there
can't.
was a very funny screenshot I got during surgery.
Oh God. Oh
Chopper,
God.
Nami, and Kobato are in surgery. Chopper says, Nani, suction. And she pulls out a goddamn vacuum. What do you
Yeah.
think you're trying to suction, Nami? His organs? All you're clearing up is blood. You don't need suction that takes 2 hands. What in God's name were they trying to suction during that scene? I saw that. I was like, did I see that right? What was that? I sent a
Don't worry
screenshot
about
of
it.
it
It's
in
fine.
our Discord. But what the hell was that? It's ridiculous. What is the point of suction that's gonna rip out
Yeah.
organs?
Oh my God.
The
I
only
need a
point
minute
is to
real quick.
take
I'll be
out
right
blood and
back.
clear
You
the
two
area.
keep talking about the suction.
Okay. uh,
That is hilarious. I didn't notice that at all.
yeah, I was like, what? What
Oh
are you
my
doing? You're not using a vacuum. But I did overall like the Kobato. I just didn't get her. I
Yeah.
was like,
Yeah, you
why?
got me.
Just
You
change
stumped me.
her.
I kept trying to explain it and you stumped me.
Yeah, I was
That's
like,
what I
just
like about this arc though. It's like it's not our characters progressing. It's the naval base, and even at the it's the naval base characters progressing. So
Mhm.
with the cook, she like threw her pride away, and she was like, "I want to make good food," and that pirate made good food, so we're gonna make good food for the crew for
Right.
the base.
And
And
I
then with
liked
Kobato,
Kobato's
she
progression for
yeah.
sure. I just didn't like the concept of a doctor scared of blood and
Yeah,
unwilling to help patients because of it. It's like, okay,
yeah.
then don't be a doctor or claim to be a doctor.
No, and then there's like, and then Jonathan says it at the end too. He like, I think his, okay, his number one goal was to capture them. But if they weren't captured, then number two goal is to blame everything on Shepard, right? Because he wanted
Mhm.
to shut them down, right? And then number three goal was to unite everybody. He even talks about it with Jessica. He's like, don't you feel like everybody's more united?
Mhm.
Like, cause that Drake guy, he was very, I wouldn't say antagonistic, but he was very like, why aren't you doing anything right now to him?
Yeah,
And
no,
then
for
he
sure.
kind of learned
Yeah,
throughout this crazy like these pirates coming into the base that like what the you have to trust Jonathan because he's very intelligent and he plays the game. He's a strategist, right?
yeah.
Um,
He doesn't need to be, what what Drake was doing was literally chasing them. Like,
yes.
what are you gonna do if you're just running around chasing them? You're not gonna catch them, that's for sure.
I mean
Like,
the crew's good at running away from the Marines. That's
yeah,
like their number one
turns
skill.
out that's why they have such a big bounty. If we are talking about people who are good at running away from Marines, the guy with like the I don't know how big his bounty is right now, so I won't say, but like the guy with the very large bounty, probably not your best choice.
Isn't it 30 million? It's
Something like
30
that.
million.
Yeah. Probably, yeah. Let's see,
Yeah.
hold on. No, it's 100 million right now because it's post Alabasta. Yep. Because Luffy and
Oh,
Zoro
yeah,
both
it
have
was
bounties right
30
now.
after at Arlong, and then now it's 100. Okay.
Yes. Okay. I thought it was that, but I didn't want to say in case it was
Yeah.
less.
Yeah, no, and then what and then he starts talking about how like everybody's like together and also like how the base in the beginning when we're introduced to the base people are like, oh, they say they're going to shut us down because they don't really need us, and now like the navy's going to see that they do need this base, like defense is important, that ship that got hit by the storm when the inspector came, if Navarone wasn't there then they wouldn't be able to help the people that were hit by the storm, right? It's he kind of like he and also he was kind of happy he had like an adversary he could fight against because it's been peaceful for so long, but the Strahd pirates kind of show them like peace is good, but also getting a little like riled up is also good so that everybody becomes united. uh
Right.
yeah, and it's just like it doesn't feel like
Plus,
they
like,
lost.
hey, if it's peaceful, you're doing your job.
Yeah, that's true.
Like,
Yeah,
isn't that the point of the
yeah.
Navy? Hey, those other places that the Straw Hats went to, they weren't peaceful. The
Hmm.
Navy sure as hell didn't do anything about that.
Yeah, that's
Like,
true. You haven't been to
what
like a
about
peaceful.
Alabasta? What about Arlong? Like, there's all these areas completely swarmed by conflict that the Navy just doesn't do anything about. And that's the reason his bounty keeps going up. Why did it become 30 million? Solving the Navy's problems. Why did it become 100 million? Solving the Navy's problems. Like, he keeps
Yeah.
doing things the Navy should be dealing with, and they keep ignoring and ignoring and ignoring. And
I think with okay, so with Alabama, so with Arlong, they were
mhm.
kind of like getting paid by Arlong, so they couldn't do their job.
I
And
mean,
then
there
with
were Marines going there to try to deal with it who were not being
Yes, I
paid.
agree
They just
exactly.
got
You are
taken
correct.
down.
Hello. I don't know who's
We're talking
correct.
about how the Marines, uh, it's a good thing that
there's peace.
G-8 is peaceful
Mm.
because the Marines are meant to keep peace, right? Isn't that their job?
Yeah.
And it's kind of been up to the Straw Hats to instill peace and areas where there's been conflict because the Marines sure as hell haven't been doing it right.
Mm-hmm.
Like both in Arlong Park and uh,
Alabasta.
Alabasta,
Mm-hmm.
um,
It's a good thing
and
this only happens in fiction.
Sappley was just mentioning how Arlong Park, the Marines were being paid off,
Mm-hmm.
and I was saying how there were some Marines trying to go to try to deal with it, but they were just being sunk. But again, if they knew that there were Marines being sunk, they could have sent larger forces. They could have sent in
Mm-hmm.
people from the Grand Line, not the East Blue. They didn't. They
Yeah,
knew there
and
was a big issue there, and they just ignored it.
with Alabasta, Crocodile was there, and he was the Shichibukai. So it's the
That's true.
institution that the government put Alabasta in that situation,
That's very
right?
true. The Marines couldn't
Yep.
really
Mm-hmm.
act in Alabasta because of the warlord system there. Yeah, you can't go against that. It goes against the power structure of the world.
But you're completely 100% right. That's the Marines' fault
Mm-hmm.
because they put that power structure in place. They allowed for this kind of behavior to happen. But like with the Navarone, it's the first place that we've seen that we've gone to that's peaceful, and then that the crew created chaos there.
Yeah,
And I was telling Lucian Einegro that um, it doesn't feel like the naval it doesn't feel like Jonathan lost because everybody his goal was kind of like to unite the base and to make it less fractured, because Drake was always like, why aren't we chasing them right now? And Drake always had fights with the doctor's dad, like with the old man, right? And there were rumors going around that the naval base would be closed, but they kind of proved their worth, and now the Marine HQ isn't going to close down Navarone because they like they took care of injured Marines while pirates invaded while being inspected, like all at the same time, right? So it
hmm
doesn't feel like Jonathan and them lost. Like even Luffy's like, "See you later, Fortress old guy." Like it was so much fun being here and all this stuff. I love the interactions between Jonathan and Luffy. It's just like I think that's the most interesting hero to protagonist to antagonist character dynamic throughout the series so far. Because it's
yeah.
always been like the antagonist is evil, right? But
Barring
Jonathan isn't
maybe
evil.
Smoker,
Yeah, that's true.
because it feels like they're. I mean, given they've had a lot more time, right? But Smoker, the White Chase going after him all this time, being so like, he's a pirate. I'm going after him, and then the revelation of like he dealt with this issue, we couldn't, and now they're trying to give us the credit, you know.
Hmm.
Uh, so to me, that is it definitely beats it out a bit, but in a close second is Jonathan.
I think like I've said all that I wanted to say about this arc.
It's a pretty fun
Um,
romp.
Yeah,
yeah,
it
definitely
is.
pretty fun.
It's one of the funniest arcs in the entire series. The next arc, though, oh God.
Yeah, it does feel like the placement of this arc is a little odd considering the next one, but maybe they were just a bit too caught up at the time and they had to slow down, but we'll see.
I think so because the volume that came out in 2008 was when Luffy does something really big. I don't want to say what it is. But,
Mm.
like it's in the arc afterwards, Lucian, where big things are happening. So they were like pretty close, I would say. So
I
this 10
see.
episode buffer would be good because the arc after this one, after the one we're gonna read right now, it's pretty big. It's a pretty big chunk of the story. Um, but they
Yeah,
were
I
catching up
see
quickly.
I've checked. I now
They
see
even
the one you're talking
they
about.
even have filler. They even have filler in this next arc in the anime. Like they add an extra
They
section
add
to this next
filler,
arc.
and then there's filler arc after that, and then there's a filler arc after that.
Really?
Yep.
I don't know. Maybe I skip those all the time, so I wouldn't know. But I don't skip this one.
It's just
Never
like
skip
four
this one.
episodes and then four episodes, but still, like they add a
Usually
good
what
bit of filler. G8 is actually the longest filler arc in all of One Piece.
really? It's
Yep.
a good one. It's worth it. Uh when I rewatch the series, I usually start at Skypia. I usually start at Jaya, and then I end post I don't want to say it because I don't post Enies Lobby. I'm gonna say it. We already said Enies Lobby, right?
Probably. I don't think it's a big
Yeah.
deal. I don't think there's
So
context for it.
yeah. So when I rewatch the series, I usually this is this portion of the series that I rewatch the most of,
Mm,
from Jaya to post Enies Lobby arc.
I can
I've
see
never
why.
read any of
Yeah.
this before, by the way, so
Oh,
this is
interesting.
gonna be exciting for me. This next couple of arcs, never read it.
Me either.
I'm excited.
I think that's the whole
Same.
point.
I haven't read it either. I I'm uh I have mixed feeling about the next arc and
I'm
reading that.
interested to
I
see.
didn't think I'd have
Just wait for me to
to.
come back next week and be like, "This is the best arc in anime manga."
Let me tell you, if you do, I will be very surprised.
Me too. I
Let's
will too.
go. What chapters are we
What's on
reading?
your taste so far?
303 to 321,
303,
I
321. A
believe.
nice short
Yep.
little read in an afternoon and done.
Mhm.
Oh God, I wish it was
And by that
short.
meaning, probably gonna end up reading it Monday afternoon, about an hour before we have to do the podcast. If I'm being honest.
Honestly, I wouldn't be even mad. This arc is like one of my least favorite of the whole series, so
I now want to like
Yeah.
it more.
just to spite
People,
me,
yes, people dislike a thing.
Evangelion.
I want to like it. I probably won't, to be honest, if you dislike it that much. But we'll see.
There are
Maybe,
some people who
maybe.
like it. Just,
I'm
yeah.
going in hopeful.
Yeah,
I'm curious. I'm curious to see what it's like in the manga.
That's fair.
me
That's
too.
true. None of us have read it. Maybe it's
Because
the anime.
I've always watched the anime version of
Yeah,
this
maybe it's
arc, and
the
it has a lot
anime.
of filler in it. So
Yeah, I
maybe.
did
Ooh,
suffer
okay.
through the anime version, and I'm excited for the manga
See,
one.
well, fresh thoughts.
Oh God.
Yes. But we will be back with Long Ring Long Land
What?
next
God.
time.
Okay.
And yeah. So,
Any final?
yeah, any final thoughts before that?
Um.
Wait, I wanted to ask Iron
Oh.
what he thinks is gonna happen next.
I don't think anything changed. To be fair,
Well,
Okay. Oh,
still,
I
but
see.
they're gonna go to a island that is a ring.
perhaps a
I
long
don't think we're
land.
gonna. Oh wait, we're gonna get a ship guy, ship crew man.
Oh yeah, they did talk
Ship
about that in
repairman.
this
Shipwright.
arc.
Yep, ship repairman.
I
Shipwright.
feel like
That
if
was
this was
foreshadowed.
a canon arc, Luffy would have tried to recruit the old guy.
Probably.
Yeah.
He doesn't care about age. He's tried to recruit Crocus, the flower guy.
Mm.
He's tried to recruit the
Kureha.
Kureha, who's over 140 years old. He
She's
does not
a
care
brisk
about age.
139. What are you talking
Sorry,
about?
apologies. Uh, so he does not care about age when he's looking for a crew member at
Yeah.
all. So he absolutely would have invited him to the crew. Whether he joined or not, different story, but you
Right.
know, he would have extended an offer, I think, in a canon arc.
Okay. Anything else, Iron?
No. Good arc. Good.
Are
We don't
we
have to
ranking
rate.
this
No.
one? What? We're not ranking it?
We can. I didn't even think about it.
My heart, you're killing me.
Okay,
Every
we'll rank it next week. We'll rank both of them since there's two
Fine.
short ones.
That's fair. They
Fine.
are both pretty short.
Then
Fine.
I didn't think we were ranking it. Otherwise, I would have been super for it.
I consider it canon, so yeah,
Well,
I would
then we
rank
will
it.
rank it next week. Find out. Well, maybe next week. Who knows? Maybe 2 weeks. Maybe 3 weeks.
That's true.
Find out next week on Dragon Ball Z.
Oh, I was doing the recap
Yes.
last time.
I've
Dragon
never
Ball
watched
Z.
Dragon Ball Z.
Whoa.
That will continue next week. We will start the intro with ah.
God.
All right. Thank you
Yes.
very much for watching this week of We Just Want to Talk About One Piece on Under the Iron Flag.
Check us
And
out on
yeah,
Twitter and
Yeah.
on Twitch.
Uh-huh.
Iron is the
I
only one
post
on
the
Twitch
Twitter.
right now.
I post
I
the Twitter.
have
Yep.
blog posts now.
ooh, nice.
Guys, Bleach came out. That's a story for another day. We won't talk about that.
Oh no.
Uh,
Okay.
Anyways,
I've been Iron
Lucian,
Aggro.
what's up? I've
I'm
been Saffron.
Lucian Graves. We will catch you next week.